architects or are able to participate in this acts of resilience. And for this research, three key policy implications emerge, including institutionalization of local innovation, reimagining finance and governance, knowledge co-production and inclusion. And these lessons extend beyond Bangladesh. For the global south, where adaptation often remains donor-driven, resilience building demands a new social contract, and one that values local knowledge, ensures access to equitable finance, and fosters institutional responsiveness. And in conclusion, the study reaffirms that resilience is not merely the ability to bounce back, it's the capacity to bounce forward. So for the communities of Shakira, to the policy corridors of TACC, resilience building requires synergy between bottom-up innovation and top-down support. And adaptation succeeds only when it becomes embedded in systems that are participatory, transformative, and inclusive. So my hope is that these insights from my study contribute not only to our ongoing policy journey, but also to broader global dialogues on how adaptation transitions to resilience and how resilience becomes a pathway to climate justice. Thank you.
I think it's a very significant and center of the debate nowadays, community-based resilience and integrating it with the policy mechanism. And he actually incorporated too many ideas and variables. I think it would be much more better if she presented with a PowerPoint slide, something like that. Though it's igniting, and we will be asking questions and discussing about it. But if someone asks about this presentation, we'll be answering. Is she connected with us? I mean, if someone answers question about our presentation, we'll be answering. So I think Susan, you can take care about that. So now we are going to move on to our next presentation, and the title of the presentation is Empowering Coastal Women for Promoting Resilience in Response to Natural Hazard, Evidence from Logic Project. And that will be presented by Mr. Mumtaz Uddin Ahmed. Mumtaz Uddin Ahmed and Morshedul Haq and MD Kamaluddin from University of Chittagong. So may I please request Mr. Mumtaz Uddin Ahmed and along with his team to present the presentation. Thank you.
Very good morning. My name is Mumtaz Uddin Ahmed, a professor at the Department of Public Administration in the University of Chittagong, Bangladesh. I think you are already introduced with our topic, and this research is of our team, three faculty members of Chittagong University, but with their consent, I have submitted the abstract here as well. With their consent, joined here to present here. And this is a very specific and narrowly defined project to present in climate resilience and experience. And the presentation outline I'm going to follow is that one provided by the organizer exactly, with a little background, then objective, methodology, key findings, and the conclusion. So about background, I think many of you or all of you know that Bangladesh is a coastal area bound country and very prone to natural disasters, and that's why it is very important and significant nowadays to be resilient to the climate change. And it is a micro level climate change initiative, and there are serious cyclones, Sidos, Ida and Amphan in Bangladesh in between 2007 and 2020, and they have seriously destructed many infrastructures, livelihoods in the coastal regions. So the farmers living in the coastal regions and the districts, they reconsider the resilient technologies and resilient adaptation technologies, how to move on with their remaining agriculture and how to move on with the climate change adversaries. And the coastal region also, it is remarkable that the women, children and the elderly are the worst victim during these cyclones, because of the men in a family, they migrate to other regions for job and other employment. So at a time of adversities, they may be, most of the time they are not physically present in their home. And also it is revealed that women living in the coastal region face distributive injustice due to the migration of the men for in the safer places. And rural infrastructure such as bridges, roads, culverts are destroyed during the cyclones and other coastal devastating for other coastal devastatings. So due to male migration, women residing in coastal areas face difficulty moving elderly and children to the adjacent cyclone centers. We visited some of the areas in Bangladesh. Union is kind of a small administrative unit administered through local government, and visited some of the coastal unions where there is no brick building, no brick or cement concrete infrastructure there. Very difficulties to be there. And moreover, slow onset factors such as the intrusion of salinity in the land and drinking water, the rise of sea level, and the changes in rainfall patterns. I think it has been reinforced by our partners here in Thailand. Exacerbate the suffering of coastal women in managing household and farming activities, and also to reduce the vulnerability of coastal women in particular. The local government initiative on climate change that is identified as LOGIC is a project undertook by the Ministry of Local Government, Rural Development and Cooperative through UNDP since July 2017. There are other funding agencies, but it is jointly administered by the Ministry and the UNDP. That's why we were interested to engage in this research to know about the effectiveness of that project as a micro level project. And it is expanding, however, it is expanding after 2020 in other districts as well. So we have developed through our research and based on the literature review a framework, and that is LOGIC, that is Local Government Initiative on Climate Change, and it is trying to include the targeted beneficiaries, mostly the coastal women residing in the coastal areas, and they are providing human capital. That means they are providing training on different skills to the participants, and access to financial capital. They are providing a kind of aid and loans, and they are using the local government functionaries, union portion to provide that. And that is the capital base for the initial capital base for the women there, and that identified here in the framework as resources. And if the resources is a kind of increasing, then increase the decision making ability of the woman in the family as well as in the time of disaster and other issues. And that agency, that is creating agency among the coastal prone women, and that agency is based on empowerment is based on resource, that is human capital as well as the financial capital and agency. So together resource and agency that is creating three types of capacity: adaptive capacity, anticipatory capacity, and absorptive capacity. This is the creation of our team, and that is making sense to be resilient in that area. So this is developed through the different contribution of different scholars as well as our contribution. And rationale of this research is that it is very significant to explore because the funding is expanding and government is relying on the expertise of the UN organizations, like as our colleagues here mentioned, is FAO and other. UNCC is also working with the Agriculture Ministry in Thailand. So in our case, they are working with the Local Government, Rural Development and Cooperative Ministry. That's why it is significant to explore. And it is also important to examine how LOGIC empowers climate vulnerable women to increase their resilience during natural calamities or disasters. And until recently, none of the previous studies have investigated so far on that to evaluate the LOGIC project. That's why we consider that it will be interesting to invest on this research on this topic. And our University of Chittagong in Bangladesh, has a small fund for conducting this kind of research through research and publication cell when we are indebted to them. An objective of this research is to examine how logic empowers and builds resilience in coastal women to mitigate the detrimental effects of natural hazards. And more narrowly, how does we have tackled three main questions. These are: how does logic empower coastal women to mitigate their sufferings at a time of the natural calamities? What resilience techniques do coastal women use during natural disasters? I think the last video participant, Ms. Lamia Mohsen, also referred back to the resilient capacities of the women in Shatkhira and other coastal bound districts in Bangladesh. And what are the key challenges of logic faces while empowering and developing the resilience among coastal women? Now let's move to the methodology. In case of research method, we rely on qualitative method as because of it is exploratory and it is helpful to be familiar with the real life experience of the participants, especially in the rural areas where you can walk and talk with the people to gather knowledge. And we used unstructured interviews, observation and focus group discussions as tools of data collection. And in case of unstructured interviews, we explore the profound and individual understanding of the participants in that complex cases. And we have used observation as well to understand the real life experience of the people, because there were a kind of indirect participants in our research also. While we organize the FGD in open places, other participants sometimes jump into there. And then we follow the thematic analysis to analyze the qualitative data. And some figures here for your reference. We have conducted interviews of 30, each containing 60 to 90 minutes, conducted 7 FGDs, ideally supposed to be of 7 to 9 participants, but due to their interest, in case some participant has increased. And male, female members of the UP, UNDP, TACC office, logic officials, women beneficiaries and local logic officials were the participant areas. We have covered 7 unions under 3 sub-districts of Bagherat district in Bangladesh. And key findings, we have divided just 3 major components as described in the logical framework. So first is adaptive capacity. Women in the study area undertook 3 livelihood activities, for example, livestock rearing, agriculture and fish cultivation to adapt water salinity and reduce the adverse effects of natural disasters. And regarding livelihood, sheep rearing, it was also mentioned by Lamia Mohsen in her presentation, is the most common practices among the targeted beneficiaries. Women in the sub area produce saline tolerant rice, enabling them to adapt to salinity. And before the logic was there, they could not have understandable knowledge and practicable knowledge to adapt that saline tolerant variety. And interviews in the area of investigation started climate adaptive fish cultivation, which fulfills their family needs as well as provides them with an additional source of income. So the above findings suggest that adaptive capacity is a helpful technique to develop resilience among the targeted women beneficiaries. And by applying adaptive capacity, women in the coastal area overcome the threats of salinity and cyclones. Second component is of anticipatory capacity, something to anticipate. So women in the coastal region develop anticipatory capacity among themselves with the help of the logic, that means the project, and the UP, that means the local government. With engaging logic, beneficiaries receive a SIM card to call the helpline. They establish as well helpline. And regarding anticipatory capacity, some women state that they use their own experience to predict the possibility of a cyclone after observing the rise of the tidal wave and the degree of the rainfall. And women engaged in sheep rearing disclose that they keep their sheep in their shelter. There is a kind of a special shelter before receiving cyclone alerts from the logic officials, they construct a particular house to keep the sheep in there. And similarly, women pursuing aquaculture, that is fish culture within the home or in the homestead of their homes, say that once they predict a cyclone by observing the degree of rain and the rise of tidal waves, they start to take extra caution to protect their fish. In the same way, women pursuing agriculture share almost identical information for these climatic events. So evidence shows that anticipatory capacity enables coastal women to develop resilience by receiving cyclone alerts from logic and UP. In addition, they apply their own experience to predict the forthcoming cyclones by observing the rise of the tidal waves. So this is the second major component of the research, and the third is absorptive capacity that was somehow missing in the existing literature, and we try to incorporate it. Interviews in the investigation area absorb shocks of cyclones by saving money, receiving aid from safety net programs. That is, we have some safety net programs or social security programs through mostly local government, but also with some other government nation building departments at the local level, and accessing healthcare services and markets, and collecting fresh drinking water from the water treatment plant established by the logic. So they have seven unions that we have covered. They have 7 big water treatment plant where the saline water is going to be treated there, and safe drinking water is supplied mostly through free of cost, and initially some months to cover the establishment cost with little charges. So almost all women disclose that they save money from their income by engaging in 3 livelihood activities: sheep rearing, aquaculture, and agriculture. And women in coastal area report that they receive food and medicine from the UP under the safety net program during major climatic events. They further reveal that aid assistance under the safety net programs helps them absorb detrimental effects of cyclone. I think there is a mistake. It is supposed to be up and it is supposed to be at the last. So results indicate the coastal women develop remarkable resilience to absorb shocks during and after cyclones by applying their absorptive capacity. In other words, they save a certain portion of income for use during disasters, receive food assistance from the UP to ensure availability, utilize healthcare services for sickness, and collect safe water to drink from logic water treatment plant to avoid waterborne diseases during natural hazards. However, this is not to full scale level. A small number of women confess that after using, still some areas remain outside of the logic capacity. So using contaminated water, children, women, and elderly people suffer from skin diseases, and due to shortage of safe water, that means the water treatment plant is some 3 kilometers away from the livelihood of those people, and there is no brick-built road to move there easily. And due to shortage of safe water, women use contaminated water to carry out household activities. Further, children and elderly people use polluted water for bathing and toilet. So, in conclusion, I can say that the result indicates that receiving training and financial assistance from the logic helps them participate in household decision making and increases their negotiation skills to negotiate with the logic officials, nation building departments at the local level, and the local government at the local level. And in other words, access to resources and agency development assist them in being empowered economically in the family as well as in the public sphere. Data shows that empowered women apply adaptive, anticipatory, and absorptive capacity as a means of resilience during natural disasters. And I think they grow, this is the 3 main resilient technologies they use. They grow saline tolerant rice, cultivate fish in the cages, and rear sheep as adaptation strategies. Further, to anticipate the probability of a cyclone, they receive cyclone alerts from logic and the UP. In addition to absorbing the shocks of cyclones, interviewees use their savings, obtain relief assistance from the UP, utilize healthcare services, and drink pure water from the Logic project to not to be in disease. So this is the main conclusion of this research, and for the further research may include more districts, Upazila and unions to explore the resilience mechanism of logic through empowerment, and a mixed method approach in a large sample size would be useful in generalizing the findings in this regard, I think in the next time of course. Thank you so much. So
Thank you very much. It was really very practical and provoking presentation. Even I could connect the presentation he was making because I worked as Upazila Nirvahi Officer. I mean the Chief Executive Officer of South District. So I can connect how he mentioned about the role of the Union Parishad, Upazila Parishad, social safety nets, and three capacity he mentions specifically is connected to preparedness, response, and also the recovery in three different phases. So I think we will be asking more questions about his study and his observations. Now we're at the end of this session. That will be our last presentation in this session, and after that we'll be moving into the question and answer session. So